Hey, good morning, church family. Pastor David here, talking to you again from my home. If you remember last week, we talked about the subject of worship. We've said for a long time already that we as a church, we commit ourselves to extend the kingdom of Jesus Christ through worship, fellowship, discipleship, and evangelism. So worship, we know we have a lot of opportunities within the time that we live in. We're not limited to worship in a large building, but perhaps a more difficult question is, what does fellowship look like? Hebrews chapter 10 verse 25 reminds us, let us not neglect meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more so as we see the day approaching. So it's straightforward. We are asked to be in fellowship, in meeting with one another. But what does it look like when we don't have the opportunity to be together in a big building and have a large group, so to speak? What does fellowship, what does meeting together look like in this case? It's not that easy. It's a lot more difficult all of a sudden. Now, another verse that is very fitting for the context that we live in is found in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. And here it says that we are to make the best of every opportunity because the days are evil. Some translations use the word redeem. Redeem the time because the days are evil. So how can we, within the current circumstances, make the best of every opportunity? First of all, are we taking enough time to pray? Are we praying for our governments? Are we praying for the circumstances that we're living in, for things to change? Are we praying for God's redemption to come over us or our families and across our land? Let us pray that the redemption of God covers us, even the circumstances that we're facing. So that is the prayer part. What about encouraging? How do we encourage one another? We can call one another. Are we taking the opportunity to call one another to encourage one another? Are we using the platforms that we're given? Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Are we using these platforms to the best of our opportunity to encourage one another? Truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how we see the current circumstances, whether we are fearful of certain things that are going on, or we feel depressed, or we feel lonely. We're all struggling with all these circumstances one way or another. Now, let us be gracious and remember that just because my neighbor or a family member or a friend is struggling through these circumstances different than I am, doesn't mean automatically that, hey, I'm wrong, I'm right, and they are wrong. We're all human. We're all prone to fear. We're all prone to anxiety and depression and all that comes with us. So let us consider how we can be gracious to one another and encourage one another even as we see the day approaching. We know that every day, the day of redemption is drawing closer and closer. So let us encourage one another while we have the opportunity. That is how we can redeem the time that we're in. Not to be swayed away by some kind of cultural movement or popular opinion, but let us keep the opinion that is not just an opinion, but a command. How do we consider the fellowship of the believers, and how do we encourage one another and also pray for one another while we're going through this time? Blessings to you.